go to Roscoe's Chicken Waffles already. Where is he? Oh man, he said back in this Roblox phone. He's that guy.
Dude! Hey! Casey, I made it!
You scared the shit out of me.
You'll never guess where I was.
When were you?
1986. Yeah.
What?
I went that far back, bro.
That's crazy.
I
That's
know.
like 30 years.
I know. 30 years. This is 2016.
I
1986, man.
can't believe this, man.
Yeah, I had to go back to see what it was like to come in 1986.
Wow. Were you watching Aliens in the theater? Where were you?
Actually, I was spying on some fly honeys. You know what I'm saying?
I can deal with that.
In the bushes.
Oh.
Me and Gwildor, we were...
Gwildor?
We were watching some fine-ass tricks.
That's
Whoa.
my favorite thing to do. When I was in 1986, I did the same thing.
I know. So,
I was 5, but yeah.
Whew.
Well,
All right. Hey, everyone.
it's like a Mr. Rogers type
I know.
situation. Here I'm the one with the cardigan.
Hey, folks. Chris Seaver here. And I'm welcoming you to the first episode of It Crept from the 80's. With me is special guest Casey Bowker.
Hi!
My cousin and all-around geeky bon vivant.
That's definitely how I would describe myself.
Yeah, so this show is really just a fly by the seat of our pantaloons. And obviously we're just going to be talking about 80's culture. We are going to throw in some 90's things here and there, Casey,
Little 90s.
just so you know.
Okay.
Yes,
Great.
a couple early 90's.
Okay.
I don't think we'll go past 95. If that.
Nothing good came out since that.
So, but there's some things that teeter on the brink, you know, and certainly stuff that I know that we were both fans of in those early 90 years. So.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to focus more on the whole 80's, the decade, and what it means to me, what it means to you, what it means to life in general in our bubble, our geek bubble.
We wouldn't be
nerd
here
bubble.
if it wasn't for the 80's.
So, but yeah, so it's each episode is just going to be, you know, we will have a certain topic, but we're certainly welcome to talk about other things as long as it's in the time frame, the decade.
Okay.
So right now we're reporting from one of the geek rooms. There will be pictures we'll show while I'm talking right now as I'm saying this.
Okay.
There will be shots of the room, but we will try to do it from this room or the theater room.
Yeah.
So maybe down in the I guess Star Wars room, I guess you would call it, or sci-fi room,
sci-fi room,
whatever.
Yeah.
Living room. But whatever room, it'll be geeky, and you're sure to see 80s shit in it. So I want you to hand me that phone to see who the hell's
what?
talking to me.
You don't want
must be. I don't even know what this contraption is.
The 80's were a wild time, you know? Like, we talk about it a lot on our show, our podcast, Gourmet Scum Radio. Every episode we talk about the 80's, but it's not a 80's, you know, per se podcast. We talk about things nowadays too, but 80's culture is so entrenched in our lives that, you know, we can't escape it.
Yes. This episode is just a general what the 80's mean to us.
Okay.
And how we've carried it through to our adult selves, really.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and again, if you have heard our podcast, the Gourmet Scum thing, you know a lot of this, but, and, you know, we won't go into too much detail with certain aspects of, you know, our lives and this, that, and the other, because we've gone over it. But I was born in 1977.
Wild times.
Star
Wars.
Yeah, I guess the 77 kids are called the Star Wars babies, I guess. So I've read.
Oh, yeah.
Are
you guys in like a group together on Facebook?
I guess so. I should create one.
Yeah.
But yes, I was cooked in 77 and I popped out. And here I am.
It's wild.
So I was lucky enough to grow up in the 80s. Right at the... I mean, I turned into a teenager going from the 80s to the 90s. So I had my sticky formative years in the GAC.
Yeah, the
GAC was 90s probably. In the slime. In the Ecto-Cooler of the 80s.
Yes.
And when were you born, Casey?
I was born in 81. So yeah, more of my childhood was all 80s. Teenage years were 90s, for show. But...
You know, where you'd get loaded up, you'd party.
I would totally do
Lots
that.
of trim shaving in the 90s.
Oh yeah. They call those the heady 90s for a reason.
The
Shaving our heads,
90s.
our tip heads.
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, 80s culture though, I mean like, every day I can't, we talk about it. At least some reference, whether I'm watching the Goldbergs on TV or watching the 80s.
Fantastic show.
It is a good show. Watching 80s movie.
Well, yeah. Think about that. Think about what do you jump towards more than anything in your movie collection? Do you tend to watch something present, or do you grab from something 1980s?
Yeah, we just recently, me and the wifey, we watched Back to the Future, Better Off Dead. What else did we watch? The Goonies.
I mean, it's like movies like that where pretty much you see them every year. You watch them every year.
Least,
you know, it's one of those.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is, and we, I mean, I assume that it's like this for every generation. You know, every person who grew up in their particular decade
Probably
loves that decade.
Yeah.
I mean, I've certainly seen. There's like quite a few people out there who definitely hate the 80s, grew up in the 80s, and is glad that the 80s are over. But I am not one of those.
Were they
people.
older than us though? Like
Yeah, they're probably a little older than us, but
yeah.
You know, I definitely have seen people who are like, "Man, I'm glad that time was over." You know, it's like
They were probably like the ones who like did coke. You know what I mean? Like those ones who are like typical like
yeah.
What is that?
Less than zero.
Less than
people.
zero. Yeah, exactly. Those
total RDJs.
Yeah, those are the guys who hated the 80s.
I think he had a pretty good time during the 80s.
Wow. Yeah, he did. If he
RDJ,
remembers it.
Anthony Michael Hall.
I was wearing my John Hughes shirt the other day because I thought I was going to go see Ferris Bueller's Day Off today in the theater. But I'm not. So I'm here, though, spending... If I can't see it in the theater, I'll spend it here with Chris talking about it.
Right.
But, yeah.
I was going to say, like, 2016, and I would say the last maybe 4 years or so, well, I guess even the last, 8 to 10 years, really, like... In this millennial time, there has been a real...
It's been a resurgence.
Resurgence of 80s culture. Good or bad.
Mom jeans are not good. And those are like in fashion.
Hey,
for
man.
some weird... I saw overalls. Like people wearing overalls. Oh my gosh. But that's bad. The good... I mean, we got shows like the Goldbergs.
Yeah, that's right.
Ghostbusters is going to be out in a couple months. Like... Constantly, 80s movies are getting remade.
Either remade or turned into a film.
Right. Though there's a Lethal Weapon TV show. Did you watch the preview?
I didn't watch the preview.
It actually doesn't look horrible.
I just don't know.
I was shocked.
I don't know, man.
I was shocked.
I don't know.
I was like, this is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But, yeah, I mean, like, fuck. even music, even like I listen to a lot of synth pop.
I mean, look at Chromeo.
Chromeo, yeah, but I mean like there's people like Mitch Murder and Robert Parker. Whoever did, I think Mitch Murder actually did the Kung Fury soundtrack.
All those guys.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's another thing we'll talk about too is 80s music.
Oh, wow. That's gonna be a couple episodes, I'm sure.
I mean, it can be intertwined with anything.
Yeah.
The subject just happens to fall on 80s music, then we talk about 80s music.
Yeah.
So, but growing up, I think we were definitely a generation of VHS kids, you know.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with our adulthood to this day. Doing the VHS thing, going to video stores,
shooting this on what almost is like
almost, yeah. Each episode is going to be different quality.
Yeah. I think this is good though. I think
that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
There'll be some 1080p HD, and there'll be some VHS.
One 4K Blu-ray 3D edition.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, I think the VHS sleepover party time kid from the 80s is definitely who we became, who I still am.
You are.
If I could, I would do it every weekend still.
You're about to have a big sleepover in a couple weeks.
Well, and that's
I mean, really?
That's one of the reasons why I started this thing called Gash Bash, which was...
I just want the person who has not seen anything who happens about Gash Bash, because we say it like whatever.
Gash Bash is just a, surely a nasty term for what it is, but it's a gathering of all of the friends, all of my friends who are scattered around the country. For years we've made movies under different monikers. Low Budget Pictures we had for 20 years, then Warlock Home Video for 3 years. Now Midnight Kids Productions. But in that time, all of my friends are also the cast, the crew of these films. So when we would get together, we would make these movies, but we would also want to hang out and have fun, and because we all love each other. We're like a big family. And this has been going on for years and years now.
Really?
Well, it's the 25th anniversary of what I've been doing as far as a filmmaker. But anyway, Gash Bash. So Gash Bash was created, first of all, essentially to get the group together, not make a movie, but get together and just have a huge 5-day sleepover where we'd watch movies, we'd geek out, we'd swim, we'd grill, and that's it.
It's party. Party central.
You know, we've had 2 Gash Bashes where they have
made movies.
We have made movies, and we've had 2 Gash Bashes where we didn't make movies. And this year, we're not making a movie during Gash Bash. So it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be a pretty hefty crew. So, and we're going to do an episode when they're all here of Crept from the 80's, where it's going to be it's going to be really geek off the charts in this one. It's going to be a whole bunch of us in the theater room, and probably eating 80s cereals and hanging in our pajamas.
We'll be drinking 80s drinks.
That's right. Ecto-Cooler.
Ecto-Cooler
is coming back May 30th. So, get out there and hoard it, because I'm going to buy a lot of fucking...
Do you remember what it tastes like?
I do.
Like,
I really
when's
do.
the last time you had it? Because couldn't Josh find, like one of our friends I think found
Josh
some.
found it, but I didn't have it.
Okay.
He had it.
Okay. And Josh is a huge Ghostbusters fan.
Yes.
But I do remember, it having like a tart, like almost like a soury taste.
It's a tangerine.
It's lime.
And orange.
Tangerine and orange are like the same.
But it totally isn't. It's like a mix of those, but like...
High fructose.
There's a weird... there's also another tingy taste to it. I don't know, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
Extremely sugary.
Oh yeah.
And just in case, I'm gonna stockpile that shit because
I think it would be good to have at least one case or whatever. Just the only thing about those is like I would imagine there's going to be a time period where it will eat.
Well, yeah, but they're doing cans and the boxes.
They're doing cans.
They're doing cans and juice boxes.
Okay.
So the cans we can
save those
as like a
juice
memento.
boxes. Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, those will be in the fridge for sure.
And that's a good thing when they do these 80s reboots of certain things is that, if you're... So, Chris and I have gone on in length about Fright Night, and... can they see it?
I don't know if you can see.
You'll see
We'll go to a clip.
We'll go to a clip.
We'll just go to a quick thing. But yes, the Fright Night Shrine. But yes, Fright Night is...
So they remade it, I don't know, like 10 years ago. 2011, so... fuck. At that time, Fright Night was now top of mind for all these people who may not have known it, or like us, who've worshipped it. And there was a lot more Fright Night stuff that you could find. Because I don't think, like, a lot of the stuff that Chris has, I think, came as a result of it. Because before that, I don't know if there was a lot.
No.
No, like...
These are actual,
No, but, like, the box and, like, the bust and all those things. Not, like, the old stuff that you've had.
The bust was before.
The bust was before?
Yeah. The only thing that's up there that I have because of that remake is the koozie.
But I'm saying, like, I feel like more things go into production.
Well, they do. They certainly
as a result. Like, people take old stuff and make it... That is 80s.
And it's happening again with Voltron.
And Turtles are
Voltron is
back
coming
again.
Back.
Oh, God, yeah, Voltron will be more toys. But...
The Turtles is just... The Turtles seems to be every, like...
Turtles haven't
gone. It just keeps
really.
recycling and making new cartoons and toys and
video games.
So now the new movies are out. So.
Yeah. But we love all that shit too.
Yeah, well, totally. I'm sure we'll talk about it. I don't know what we were talking about, but that's okay. There's no structure to the show. That's what's great about it. It's like podcasting, but you can see it.
We've done a couple live podcasts.
The big goofy little things that happen. You know what I'm saying?
Is like a critter gonna walk by or something?
I wish.
Smell Jabred!
Well, we went and saw Critters in the theater a couple weeks ago.
35mm print of Critters at the Little Theater here in Rochester, New York, put on by Fright Rags and our buddy Ben Scrivens.
Yeah, we're in Rochester, New York, which is the home of Kodak. So Rochester, New York actually holds... Eastman holds the biggest film archive in the world outside of Hollywood. So though there's no Alamo Drafthouse, because if there was, A, we'd probably be running it, and B, we'd be playing like the movies that people actually want to see. But every once in a while, like Fright Rags, thank God for Ben for doing what he's doing.
Yes.
It's only once a month that he's showing like sweet movies.
Yeah, but throughout the years he has put on events like that.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, he brought Fred Decker here. Probably, I guess now it would be close to... It was like 6 years ago.
Yes.
That Fred Decker came, and I got to meet him and talk to him for 20 minutes, have some shit signed, because Fred Decker is also responsible for two of my favorite films of all time, The Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are people out there in Rochester who actually give a shit and try to cater to our generation. Ben is my age, and he loves a lot of the same shit that we all do. And he tries to bring back that feeling, the nostalgia. And that's really a big connection to us 80s adults. Do you know what I'm saying? Is
nostalgia?
The nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
It really is. And some people like to put that down, like, oh, it's just a nostalgia thing. So what? It doesn't matter. I enjoy it.
I guess
hang on to it. Like it
that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I guess I could understand it in certain ways, but like I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast. The 80s, I think, is the decade that's more prevalent now than any other decade. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that come back from the 60s and the 70s and stuff like that. Not so much the 90s, but, like, the 80s, like, there's a reason why we're getting a Predator movie, Ghostbusters, Turtles, Voltron, like, all this shit, because that decade, like, shaped the shit out of, like, everybody. Everybody who's like running things now, who are our age and a little bit older and stuff, it's like they get it that there's not as much nostalgia for disco. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not seeing like disco movies.
You also gotta think though that they're not. While they, on the surface, they look like they're catering to people like us. They are trying to find a new audience with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, look at how fans react. 9 times out of 10, people don't like...
Badly.
People do not like what they're giving us today. So, in a way, they are jumping off the brand, you know?
Right.
But I don't feel like the main audience are the people that grew up with it. I feel like that's just that's icing on the cake. What they want are the new people. So that's why they make them a little bit different. They change things. And I, as a rational human being, understand that.
Right.
There's a lot of us geeks out there who don't and just seek to destroy it because it's not what it was. But you always have what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing. Like,
well, let me ask you something that we don't usually talk about. So we get that as movies. Like, if they go and they change it, like, even if we don't like it, we can always watch the original Fright Night or whatever. If they go and put out, like, a new Boo Berry, right? Mm-hmm. And they change, like, the ghost, would that annoy you?
See, that doesn't annoy me.
Or if it tastes different, though?
The taste different is...
Like, that would be huge.
But luckily, they don't. When they keep putting out those monster cereals, they taste the same.
Okay.
I mean, I can go into the store right now and get some of the sugary cereals, and the recipe has not changed. All it does for me is it just...
Even that's nostalgia.
That's what I mean. It pushes me back. Yeah. Once I taste that, I'm like, man, I'm like fucking 7 years old again. Yeah. Chowing down in my jammies. You know, watching cartoons, eating some fucking Fruity Pebbles. Yeah. So, it's still out there. It's everywhere, the nostalgia factor. I, for one, enjoy it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't want it abolished.
I live my life by it.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, one of the topics is, like, how it affects our life now. And it 100%, like, shaped who I am as an adult.
Well, I know, so I'm getting my reception for the marriage, and what are we doing? Somehow, I can't remember what song, like, we're gonna be playing Take On Me. I can't remember what if we're coming in. I know we're coming in to Star Wars. I don't remember where Aha's playing, but, like, I was like, we have to have Star Wars, and we have to have something 80s, or else I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's it.
Well, I mean, think of our wedding.
His wedding was like...
My wedding.
Well, I would have a really good time at it. If it was my wedding. All 80s. Only in ska.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it was.
It was. No, it was great. That music list is great. So, I mean, but, like, that's a huge part of our lives. Getting married to someone that we're going to be with for the rest of our lives. And we insist on... We have to have the 80s at this event.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's huge.
I mean, we're throwing a get-together anniversary party at the end of shooting my newest film in October of this year, and it's an 80s party.
Yeah.
Come dressed 80s.
Our Halloween party last year was an 80s Halloween party. So, an 80s prom.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of a day where the 80s is not in there.
Yeah, it surrounds me. It penetrates me. It binds me together.
Total bodacious babes!
I mean, movies, music, comics.
Sex.
Definitely
I definitely
sex.
have 80s sex.
I mean, it all... It's just... Everything from then is still here in me. It's in my house. It's in my films when
is
I'm
it
writing.
in your child? Does he feel the 80s?
He's gonna. I mean, he definitely loves...
He loves
a lot of
Ghostbusters.
80s because of me.
Yeah.
Like, he
He
definitely
likes Pee-wee.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Ernest. Everything.
Yep.
I mean, the kid... Yes. But, of course, he's gonna love things of today.
Yeah.
He loves that stuff. But... Luckily, I got him early, you know,
Yeah,
out of the womb. I shoved as much of my love of this culture onto him, and he definitely loves a lot of it. So there's things where he's like, man,
This is aged.
yeah, this is trash.
Yeah.
But luckily, there's a lot where he's like, this was awesome. So,
Alright. That's good.
you know. And it's great because, like, a lot of the stuff that's coming out movie-wise is based on stuff that he has seen. So he has seen both versions.
Yeah.
You know?
He
He can appreciate it.
He's probably the only kid who even knows who the Ghostbusters are. Like, because he's 9.
The original, yeah.
The original Ghostbusters.
He saw the original when he was probably, like, 3.
So he's loved the Ghostbusters, and, you know, kids his age... I doubt, unless they had really cool parents, showed them the
I know.
Ghostbusters.
And certainly now, though, because the new movie's coming out.
Well, no.
So those kids are going to know that.
Now, yeah, they're going to know those girls as their Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And then they'll go and watch the other ones and be like, these old dudes?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But...
And that's what you Ghostbusters fans need to fucking chill out about. Like, come on. There's a whole new generation that's going to see this movie and be like... Just like we did in the 80s and fell in love with Ghostbusters. Now these kids are going to fall in love with this. You whiny fucking...
Be glad they're even watching Ghostbusters.
Rats.
That they even get the opportunity. And that you could even then show them, well, hey, there was also these Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? Like, it's a... I get it. Like, they're definitely latching on to a brand and they're making money off of that. But, you know, it's still a win-win because... We're also going to see a lot more Ghostbuster shit come out, like Ecto-Cooler, as a result of this new movie. A lot more toys. Diamond Select Toys has a whole new line of classic Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. You know, there's more Stay Puft stuff than we've seen before. I mean, there's so much. Like, you can't complain about that.
Well, I mean, for instance, look at NECA Toys.
Wow.
Look at...
Randy
90%
Falk is from the 80s.
Yeah, well, 90% of everything they put out is 80s related.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You
He
know?
knows what time it is.
They're catering to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's all Predator and Alien, but there's other, you know, like Rambo, there's Godzilla,
Yeah, but look
Gremlins.
at the horror.
All the
Freddy's,
horror, yeah.
The Jasons,
Yeah.
the Leatherfaces.
Yeah. You're right, yeah.
You know,
he
everything
loves it. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's so much. Permeating.
Yeah,
Wafted.
it's thick. And like I said, like with the movies, like I write so... there isn't a movie that I've made that doesn't have 80s like throughout it.
Absolutely.
Something 80s. Or straight up recreation of the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, I love it. I mean, I guess some people have security blankets, and the 80s is my security blanket.
You think so?
I
You can never give it up?
I can. What do you honestly think? Would you?
I don't know.
No, it's who we are.
Doesn't make any
it's
sense.
just...
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We're children of the atom.
Children of the elf.
Yes, that's right.
Of the Weird Al.
Totally. Totally, man. Like, it's funny, because I can't... Speaking of Weird Al, everything past the point, I just don't care about.
Music-wise?
As far as Weird Al is concerned.
Oh, his music?
Yeah.
Well, it's because what he was riffing on. I mean, Bad Hair Day's fine. The Running with Scissors is fine. Actually,
it's alright. Like,
there's a ska song on there.
Yeah, but once they... I feel like once he...
Made fun of music you don't care about.
Yeah,
it's
then
not
I
as
just...
funny.
Like, like, for me, the last few Al albums just aren't relevant to me because I don't like the music of today. I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
So it means nothing to me. But I still love the man. I love that he's still doing it.
Yeah.
and he's selling millions of records.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
He's winning Grammys. That is so cool. The Weird Al is still kicking ass.
Wild. And he
So-
looks the same. Really?
Well, I don't have the stash.
Yeah, and he could cut his
Got rid of the
hair,
stash.
but I mean, like...
And NECA just put out a toy of Weird Al.
Oh, did you get it?
Which, no, I want it.
Oh, is it out?
I saw somebody had it. Somebody posted a picture of it.
Hmm.
It's got two heads. New Al and Old Al. I love it. He's got an accordion.
Yeah. In like a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, man.
That's funny, actually. That's really funny.
But, and I guess to an extent, well, to a large extent, it's still, like, the music. It's what I listen to. I'm not as open musically as Casey or other people on the planet. I'm very close-minded because I know what I like. I instantly know what I like. And there's a lot of music of today that I just do not like.
I feel like Chromeo is probably like the newest.
Well, yeah, but there's also Bruno Mars who does songs
Like
that are 80s reminiscent.
Yes.
But the majority of his stuff I would not listen to.
No, I know.
But when he does those when he hits those certain songs, I'm like, God damn, this guy knows what's up.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
Starting
true.
with that fucking Locked Out of Heaven song, that fucking Police song that he did.
Police
It's
song.
just like,
yeah.
holy shit, this guy knows.
Yeah.
But yes, Chromeo, I mean, just brings, it's just thick 80s to life.
They're in the studio.
I know, I'm excited.
And
We're not gonna get it
They'll
this
make it
year.
out in like 10 minutes.
No, we won't get it this year. But I bet
I bet you we get it in, what is this, May? I bet we get it in like October, November.
Well, that would be great. I would love a new Chromeo.
And then they'll go on tour, and then now that you have your passport, we'll go.
Yeah, I want to see
And
it.
it will probably be during Celebration Weekend. We'll be screwed.
Probably. Or they're playing.
Or they'll be in Florida.
Orlando. That would be magic.
We're going to, another 80s love, Star Wars.
Star Wars Celebration. Next year. 2017. I went last year.
Yeah.
For my honeymoon. And it was amazing. But yes, I mean, obviously we're huge Star Wars fans.
But Star Wars still takes place in the 80s.
Well, yeah.
The best,
I mean,
well,
yeah.
I won't say the fastest two. 'cause
Other
that's
than
Hope, but,
A New Hope, yes.
Yeah.
They're all 80s.
Yeah.
Well, and
those other ones.
Empire and Jedi are 80s movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Star Wars is bigger than it's ever been in 2016. That's fantastic.
It's, literally probably bigger than it's ever
Yes.
been.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is huge.
It's spanning every generation.
And it's awesome. I love it. And thank God it's like good. It's good Star Wars.
Thank you, J.J. Abrams. I know you're watching.
Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy.
Actually, yes. Thank you, Kathleen
Thank
Kennedy.
you, Disney. They all did it. They all were like, this is what it needs to be.
Well, Kathleen Kennedy's a child of the 80s. She gets it.
Certainly.
Well, I mean,
of course.
she's a-
I mean, she's
She's
fucking...
a woman of the 80s, but...
She was Spielberg's right-hand woman.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. She knows what we like.
Spielberg.
Spielberg is... Spielberg. He's still kicking.
James Cameron.
He's still doing it. James Cameron's on his own planet. I don't
Oh,
know
we're going
what he's
to we're
doing.
going to see John Carpenter.
We're going to see John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
In a couple months.
John Carpenter for his Lost
Themes.
Volume 2.
I think it's encapsulating his musical themes.
He's doing everything.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That's exciting that he's doing some themes from...
And we're huge Carpenter fans,
Yes.
which, he had his heyday in the 80s.
He is my favorite horror director. John Carpenter, hands down. For sure. I can't say favorite director because I love Steven Spielberg so much.
Right.
I love Peter Jackson for certain movies. But
I think...
I love Rob Rodriguez. I love...
If you think about it, I actually love everything movie directed by J.J. Abrams. He has yet...
for sure.
Technically has yet to fail
For
us,
sure.
even though he's only done like...
JJ is another...
I mean, he's more consistent than all of them so far.
Super 8.
Oh, wow. That's a love letter to the
To
80s.
me.
to you. You're in that movie.
JJ,
What are you talking about?
you made a movie that spoke to me so much that I cry every single time I watch the movie. When I was seeing it in the theater, I was bawling.
Yeah.
But bawling out of joy. I was so happy this movie existed. I couldn't believe it. Because I was seeing essentially my childhood on the screen.
I remember when you ran into that alien. It was wild.
Yes.
Do you have that? Where's that cube? Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah,
you guys will see the
Super 8 cube. Is right up
cue
there.
that cube. That cube square.
I want to get that bust. I still need, because there's a bust that's out of print, but you can still get it on eBay.
Of what?
Of the alien.
Oh, of the alien?
Yeah, it's a cool bust. It's got the Super 8 on it. I just want to. I want any pieces of memorabilia I can get.
Yeah.
I still have an Entertainment Weekly magazine because it has Super 8 on the front.
Yeah. That does not surprise me.
In an interview with JJ and Spielberg.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen... I feel, honestly, like a lot of people have not seen Super 8.
And there's a lot of people who don't like it, which just...
I did not like the alien. That was it. The
like
alien
look of
itself...
the alien?
Huh?
Just like the look
The
of them?
look of the alien just looked way too Transformers to me. It was like... And I just remember going... Nah. Like, that was it. Like, everything else, I was riding high. And then I saw that alien, and I was like, well, that was a misstep. But everything else has been awesome. Like, that movie is a brilliant piece of cinema. But, if you want to watch a modern 80s movie, that movie is the most Spielbergian film in,
for
like...
sure. I mean, well, Spielberg produced it.
Right.
But it was
It's
JJ.
Amblin. I mean, it's an Amblin film.
Damn.
Other than Star Wars, it's the most 80s movie that's come out in the last, 20 years or so. I mean, it's
feel
wild.
for sure. I mean, there's being a huge horror fan as well, you always hear,
It's like the
almost
80s.
every month, you hear,
like
this
follows
is the new, throwback to the 80s. And
So are they doing that?
9 times out of 10, it's not.
It's definitely not.
It does not feel like it at all.
No.
So, yeah.
Horror has been, real... I would say that horror is more like... That I see, one good, really great horror movie a year.
Yeah,
And
sucks.
You know what I actually watched? I don't want to get too off topic here, but that movie Hush on Netflix.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's in my queue.
It actually was... I really liked it. And that was a simple... It reminded me a little bit of, I guess, The Strangers or the other Your Next, which are kind at least Your Next is a little bit more 80s like. This is more 80s like. But I thought it was a really good movie, good concept.
Also The Guest. The same guy who did Your Next.
Yes.
The Guest is totally an 80s movie.
Adam
But
Wingard.
now, that movie is beautiful. I've probably seen it 5 times.
I would say that's 80s and early 90s because it's a bit like a Van Damme movie. If Van Damme was in that movie, you could see that.
But it really feels 80s.
No, I know, but I could just
right
see
down to
the music is all
Carpenter.
The music is all 80s.
Music style and the font. I mean, his John Carpenter's font.
Well, Doomsday is a John Carpenter movie.
Oh, well, Neil Marshall is a huge John Carpenter fan.
Yeah.
I wish that guy would make another movie. Because Doomsday was...
he's just doing Game of Thrones
magic,
and getting paid
magic
that money.
pants right there. And
he's like a producer on Grimm or something.
I mean, look at Robert Rodriguez when he did Planet Terror. That was a huge John Carpenter love letter. Kiss your old scraggly zombie head, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
But
I mean, so there's stuff out there. It feels, at least for horror, it really feels like you get 1, maybe 2 big zingers of the year. Usually the ones that are hyped, I do not like. Usually the It Follows, I'm like, Nah. The Babadook, I didn't love.
There's bits I like about the Babadook.
Yeah, but overall, those big ones that people are flipping out, though.
I feel it's more...
The Witch was...
But for me, I mean, it's it's the ones that specifically go out of their way and say
It's an 80s.
this is an 80s throwback.
Yeah.
You know, this
They're
and
not.
it's not. It just
Yeah.
doesn't feel like
They're
it.
not.
It just, I feel, honestly, I've seen nothing horror-wise that's recreated that feeling for me yet. It just hasn't.
Like a feeling of...
Of the 80s.
Of
Of,
the
of,
80s.
of I'm watching an 80s horror movie.
Right. Well, because if you're watching an 80s horror movie, there's an element of, like, fun to them. And nowadays, they take themselves too seriously to have, like, fun and horror. Like, you're not going to see... Well, okay, I was going to say, you're not going to see Night of the Creeps, but you are, because it's called Slither. But, like that, you know, it's creepy, it's fun, it's weird, it's over the top. You know what I mean? Like, there's always, like, a weird-ass character that just is there. Like, you don't see that as much... I don't know.
My movies.
Yeah. You have to watch low-budget pictures. Low-budget pictures.
You want that feel.
Chrissy? Yeah, well, that's true. Not so much, like, scary.
No, but the mixing of the genres.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, essentially, I always grab for an 80s horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's not... I mean... Trick or Treat, but that's more of an homage.
Trick or Treat is special. Trick or Treat is by people who understand. Like Mike Doherty, like knows his shit, loves Halloween.
Well, Krampus
loves
was an
Creep
80s
Show.
movie.
Yeah, Krampus. But again, it's Mike Doherty.
Yes. Krampus is very much like Gremlins.
The guy knows.
Yeah.
What he wants to make. He loves the genre.
Yeah.
So I guess Trick or Treat would be. That would be right up there. It's
Yeah.
like the biggest, like, huge, like, horror homage to the 80s that actually delivered.
That works.
It did.
At every
Delivered.
level.
And now, to me, it's a modern classic.
Yeah, I'm, like, looking around and I'm just like... You know, I wish Peter Jackson would do another straight horror movie.
Man.
When Sam Raimi did...
You mean comedy horror.
Comedy horror. When Sam Raimi did Drag Me to Hell, I mean,
I know.
That's a perfect...
And that was great.
Love
Again,
the shit out of it.
It's tiny diamonds in a sea of shit cakes.
Yeah.
Shit coal.
You know, and then you got things like VHS. Those that say that
like
they're
they
shot on VHS, they're not
Fail.
shot on VHS.
Fail.
And there's some segments that I absolutely love in all of them, but still, overall, it's not the package that they're trying to deliver to you. Like, sorry, they're not. Sorry, guys, if you're watching this. Sorry, Bobby Heckman, who's probably watching this going, no, man. Whatever. I love you, Bobby. You know, I haven't watched any Sharknadoes. I bet you those probably feel a little 80s. Like, they're probably horrible.
I have seen some of them, and they don't feel
They
80s.
don't. They just feel like shitty.
They're just garbage.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So, 80s, man. Those were wild times.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking a lot about 80s horror, because it's a huge thing that I love. It is a huge part of my life, and the majority of the people that are going to be talking on this show are also like
They're probably all
80s
people.
freaks.
I mean, would you want to get someone on here who's not an 80s freak? Would you like
No,
to be
it
like,
has to be.
what do you think of the 80s? I hate it.
No.
That's
no.
the end of that.
No, but it's going to be, I mean, certainly there will be people on here who grew up far more in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to hear their
I'm interested to hear
their
about...
contrast. I mean, look at somebody like,
Nisha likes a lot of the stuff from the 90s.
Well, but I mean, even somebody like Clint Kelly, who was born in 88.
Okay. Yeah,
He was born
he's
in
an all
88.
90s kid.
So he was a 90s kid.
So you guys...
But that dude loves so much 80s. You know, I think it's all in what you were raised on.
Because, like, yeah.
He certainly loves his 90s, because we do fight about, like, what's good in the 90s and what's not. But
I would like to have that kind of conversation with, like, but somebody who isn't even, like, Clint, who, like, loves the 80s. And these names that were thrown out, you guys will see... you won't see graphics of their faces, but you'll see them in upcoming episodes, so just stay tuned. But, I would be interested to talk to somebody who's more like, I loved Scream, The Craft...
Well, I mean, my wife is a perfect...
Oh, yeah. So someone like
who...
Katie, if Katie would do this, which you probably wouldn't, but if Katie would do something like this, I want to hear, like, what about that culture? I would even want to talk to somebody like 70, you know what I mean? Like, what was it about that culture, like, that you still, if they still cling to it? Like, I know my wife, same way. Like, she loves shitty 90s music. And I'm just like... Oh, like I don't want to hear like
Katie.
Can't stop singing in my mind. Like just those horrible like techno shitty type 90s songs. Anywho, but like what is it about that culture that you still cling to, like we still cling to the 80s? Like that's what I would like to talk to somebody about.
Yeah, it'd be good debates.
Yeah.
Good arguments.
No, just not even I want to hear that.
It would be fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be
But
fun.
ultimately they would lose.
Well, I ultimately, what would
anything
happen,
that they talk about.
No, what would happen is, like, everything that they say, that they would still be like, well, I did love, Gremlins, and like, nope, sorry, 80s. And they're like, I did love the Beastie Boys.
Like, Katie loves The Thing.
Wow.
John Carpenter's remake.
Yeah.
She loves The Thing. She loves The Goonies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So of course there's that.
But does she think...
I think
She's All That is better than 16 Candles?
Man.
Because, like, that's the kind of fight I want to have. Where I'd be like, I'll
lose.
throw you out a window.
There wouldn't even be She's All That if there wasn't 16.
I know, but I'm saying, wouldn't it be funny to talk to that person? We'd be like, no, man. Like,
well, I'm sure they're out there because that's what they grew up
classic.
On. And they found 16 Candles to be whatever.
Don't get me wrong. I actually like She's All That. I know Chris doesn't, but...
No.
It's no 16 Candles.
Again, that's another good thing you brought up. There will never, ever, ever be another John Hughes. And to me,
well,
maybe
take that back though, because
to me,
J.J. Abrams could go along the path of a Steven Spielberg. Will he make those movies that like literally rip your heart out? I don't know, but I mean, like, he's a damn fucking good filmmaker.
Okay, that's great, but there's still no John Hughes.
You're just saying John Hughes, period? Is there ever going to be one? I don't know.
Is there
likely
modern Weird Science, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club? No. For me, no, there is not.
I mean,
no, there is not.
I don't think that there's
nothing that captures
that feeling.
So real. I mean, it really felt real. None of that felt fake. None of that felt like actors.
Yeah.
None of those people in those movies felt like fucking models. And they did it all through the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody looked so pristine, so good, so clean cut. No. That didn't happen in the 80s. It just didn't.
I don't know.
Those John Hughes kids looked like real fucking kids.
I'm not even going to debate John Hughes because it's like a moot point. John Hughes is like the master of what he did. You know what I mean? And I wish the dude would like come out of wherever the fuck he is.
His grave?
Yeah. And come back. And like just do it.
Did you forget that he died?
I always do. I always forget that John Hughes is dead.
Yeah, it sucked.
That's super sad.
He was 60.
I'm glad I didn't realize that because I would probably have cried.
Yeah, no,
I'm gonna cry.
He's gone.
Yeah, when did he die?
It was a few years. It was a bit back.
Was it before like the internet was like so?
Don't you remember the Oscars that year? The Breakfast Club came out and gave him a tribute.
I don't know.
At the Oscars.
Maybe I didn't watch it. I'm gonna go watch it on YouTube though. Now, that is sad. That just struck my whole thing. But yeah,
but Paul Verhoeven is still alive.
Wow. Yeah.
John Carpenter is still alive.
Yeah. Paul Verhoeven still makes like really weird like German movies though.
I want him to come back. I want him to make King Conan. Do you know how amazing the reteaming of Arnold and Paul Verhoeven would be with King Conan?
Wow.
My God.
It would be like one of the most violent films we've ever seen.
It would be epic.
Paul Verhoeven, another prolific, director, writer of the 80s, and
80s
shaped some of the best movies that we've ever seen. Sci-fi movies ever. Whew. But yeah, what else?
I mean, this is just the first episode, folks.
So
We're going to be talking so much about everything. 80s makeup effects artists like Tom Savini, Rob Bottin, Jimmy Van Brunt. I mean, we're going to be talking about
The
breakfast cereals. We're going to be talking
Breakfast
about
Club.
we're going to be talking about 80s food. We're going to be talking about 80s music, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, movies, music, fashion.
Fashion?
I mean, so
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I guess to sum it up, it's just in my blood.
It's definitely in my balls.
Yeah. it is.
Every day.
I mean, every time I come on my wife, on her face, on her buoyant breasts, on her butt.
Does he play Bowie's Let's Dance? Last Dance.
There's definitely 80s music playing when I'm creaming. And,
He said cream. Let's not watch this
it
shit.
displays some sort of 80s pattern when it falls on her person. Like sometimes you'll see Punky Brewster appear from my seat on
I
her
would
face.
actually love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I would want a picture of that.
And one time I came the girls of Facts of Life.
All of them.
Alex P. Keaton was on her nipples.
Fashionable.
So it's just a part of me, and it's never going to go away, and I'm going to continue to love it and soak up as much as I can. When I find things that I haven't seen from the 80s, it's like a...
Well, if it's good. Like Midnight
Pandora's
Hour.
box has opened up,
Yeah.
So, and it isn't often.
It's not.
Because I have seen a lot of shit. But there are still things from the 80s that I haven't seen that surprise me, delight me, and I get just as hooked on them. I mean, there's a lot of crap out there, but yeah.
Yeah, we get at Bernie's, man.
Well, that's forever a classic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's late 80s, but still, it's the 80s.
It's gold.
It's right in there.
So should they, gotta put, a subscribe button down there?
Yeah, subscribe, please.
Subscribe, clicking on the bottom.
Crept from the 80s. Tell us if you liked the episode.
Yeah, leave comments in
I'm
the
sure
in the
you'll
section.
tell us that you hated it.
Yeah.
That you hate our faces. That's just the way the internet is.
You guys' faces are real messed up.
Yeah. You're
not from the 80s.
You think you're from the 80s? You got now faces.
We got 80 shirts.
And yeah, subscribe. Let other people know and spread the word and tell us what you want us to talk about as long as it's 80s appropriate. And again, I'm not going to be talking about politics. I'm not going to be talking about dramatic shit. I'm not going to be talking about world events.
I'm not going to talk about the Cold War.
Not talking about
80s,
any of that
Ronald
shit.
Reagan.
It's all fun, goofy, geeky 80s culture.
Voodoo economics.
Yes.
Are we going to talk about those?
Yes.
We're going to be talking about Pepsi Free. All that. DeLoreans.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
Cool, man. Sweet.
Fangoria. Huge part. Fangoria's Weekend of Horrors. Robert Englund.
We got to talk about Robbie.
V. The miniseries. Folks, you're in for a treat. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of It Crept from the 80s. But Casey, I think I need to go back.
What?
Yep.
To the 80s?
I gotta go back. This time, I think I'm gonna go to 1984.
Dude, that was a great year. I was 3.
It was a real great
It was
year.
wild.
I was 7.
All
I'm
right.
gonna go back and tell myself, dude, you are in for a treat.
All right, man. If you see my 3-year-old self, give him a high five and a...
I'm gonna tell my 7-year-old self, dude, when you hit 13, you're gonna come on a chick's face for the first time.
You gotta show them how to do it.
That's right.
That sounds great. Yeah.
I'm gonna find me, and I'm gonna take me to see maybe Gremlins,
Oh yeah.
maybe Ghostbusters.
Yeah. You got to.
I'll watch my mom taking me to see Nightmare on Elm Street.
You don't want to ruin the time-space continuum. You don't want the butterfly effect yourself.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll just look from afar.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Beep boop beep 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 boop beep beep.
I'll see you in the future.
Whoa! He left! He's in the 80s! And I'm stuck here in 2016! Take me with you, Chris! Take me! Take me with you!
Hey, what do you thrash?